I just wanted to thank you again for, allowing me to have the opportunity. I greatly appreciate it and everything that you've
Hey,
done.
baby, it is absolutely my pleasure, and thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much. So, take me back to the night you won your Oscars. What was going through your head?
I get asked that question often
Hmm.
about that award, like what was happening that night. And it was a regular night that I was going to accept an award that I was grateful for.
Hmm.
But that wasn't the night that I was really excited about. The night that I was really excited about was the Image Award,
Hmm.
because that was the award that was from my community. And that was the award that said, we think you're the best at what you do at this moment, and we want to celebrate you. So that was the night that I was really excited about, to be amongst my folks. We celebrating each other together, and then for them to call my name was amazing, and I was so grateful and humbled by it. But the Oscar wasn't the night that put those butterflies in my stomach and said, oh, God, this is the night.
Hmm.
Though I was grateful for it, it was the Image Award that gave me that feeling.
Right. How is it for you to see your growth going from a young Baltimore girl into now this amazing comedic actress?
Well, I'm grateful to Baltimore
Hmm.
because it molded me, and it allowed me to become who I am. Because when you come from a place that's full of heart
Hmm.
and love and directness, and ain't afraid to take an ass whooping. When you come from that place, it molds you into who you are. So to say, how does it feel coming from Baltimore? Baltimore is still home in my heart.
Hmm.
And I'm still very grateful for those people that came out and supported me, baby. When the world didn't know who Monique was, they just knew who I was in Baltimore.
Hmm.
But they treated me like the world knew who I was. So I'm grateful for that. And when people say to me now, Monique, why are you so direct and you say what you feel? Because that's what I come from. I don't know a whole lot of shy Baltimoreans.
So, coming from that moment, playing such a role on Precious, it was a moment that we saw a different side to you. And the public was wondering, how come we haven't seen you as much as we thought we would? What was that moment for you when you realized that you were being blackballed?
Well, when you win that award,
Hmm.
which is supposed to be the most prestigious award that you can win in American society for acting, the money is supposed to come along with that,
Hmm.
because that award says that you are the best. However, that's not what that award means for people of color, and I'll speak directly for me. That's not what it meant for me.
Hmm.
What it meant for me was, you just won that award, but we're still going to treat you as if you got off the Greyhound bus and you just got to Hollywood, and you should be happy that we're even calling you.
Hmm.
So that's why I don't go gung-ho over the Oscar award, because it hasn't meant that for me. And if you know your homework and your research, it hasn't meant that for any other black woman that's won that award.
Hmm. Do you ever feel like you're the scapegoat for a lot of the issues that you speak on?
Well, to say the scapegoat, I don't think that, I don't know if that's the word I would use. I think that to speak on what's happening, we all know that it's not unique.
Hmm.
And we all know that the black woman has been on the bottom of the totem pole since as far back as we can remember. So I'm not saying anything that's unique.
Hmm.
I think what becomes unique is I'm unwavering about it. I'm not backing down. I'm not being quiet. I'm not going away. And I'm unapologetic about standing up for inequality.
Right.
So if the word is scapegoat that you want to use, I'll take that charge, but it won't make me be quiet.
Right. So, in regards to Lee Daniels, Tyler, and Oprah, right? How did it feel for you to see your community publicly blame you, but in the same token, blame Lee when Dame Dash called them out?
Well, again, my baby,
Hmm.
when we know our history, it didn't hurt my feelings, because I understand how we've been conditioned and how we've been trained to be fearful. And when Paul Robeson spoke out, and that's way back in the day, I didn't hear about the black people that surrounded him and said, we're going to stand with you. When Eartha Kitt spoke out, I didn't hear about the black people that said, we're going to stand with you. I'm not saying that they didn't, because I know that there were some that did, but it wasn't a pouring of us saying, we're going to stand behind you. So when you know our history, the list goes on. Ida B. Wells, Shirley Chisholm, Hattie McDaniel, the list goes on. We've not been conditioned yet to stand with each other. It's easy to turn our back and say, it's not affecting me. See, even with Dr. Martin Luther King, a lot of us did not stand with him, and we thought he was making too much noise because we should just be happy with what we have.
Right.
So when you know the history of us, I can't take it personal because we've been trained that way. But I love on them even harder because it makes me have empathy to say the moment you discover who you really are, you'll stop being in begging mode.
Transitioning from that moment to 2016, when Almost Christmas came out, did you feel like, things were starting to look up for you, like things were going to a better direction?
Well, see, I'm a stand-up comedian, and I've always been that. I've never claimed being an actress. So because people didn't see me in the TVs and in the movies, people thought I was doing nothing. I've always done stand-up. I've never stopped doing stand-up. That's my first baby. That's my first love. So because you didn't see me didn't mean I didn't have a livelihood.
Right.
So Almost Christmas was one of those things where I was only supposed to do a cameo appearance. I wasn't supposed to be throughout that movie. I was supposed to be in that movie for a cameo. That's what we negotiated with Will Packer. Well, when it came down to it, that's not what it was. But it wasn't that I see things looking up. No, it was something I wanted to do. And for what I signed up for, it made sense. Now, what I signed up for and what actually happened is two different things.
So how would you describe that, what you signed up for versus what happens? Did they treat you differently on set?
Packer did not keep his word, and he was not a man of integrity. That's what the difference was. When you tell me I'm going to do a cameo, I'm expecting to do a cameo.
Right.
When you write me in throughout this movie, well, the money didn't change. I signed up for that money for a cameo, not to be all throughout that film. And what happens is people think you're not going to say anything. Oh, well, she already in trouble. She won't say nothing. No, yes, the hell I am. That's not what I signed up for. But because I love David Talbert, I love what that brother does, I said, brother, you got me this time. Not to David Talbot, but to Will Packer. You got me this time, but never again. And I'm going to tell it.
I wouldn't expect them to try you like that.
See, there are a lot of Wizards of Oz in this business. I just so happen to have had a chance to go behind a curtain and see them. And when I see them, it's like, well, now I know that you're not playing fairly. And I know you're not about equality, and you look just like me. And if I do not speak out and say anything, guess what? The next one's coming, they're going to deal with the same things as the last ones had to deal with. So at what point do we say it's time for the story to change, not just the faces?
So transitioning into what you just said, right? Going to go into the Netflix boycott. So, after you called for the boycott, news came out that, Tiffany Haddish and Wanda Sykes have both scored a better deal. Do you feel that your call for the boycott helps shed light on women in entertainment?
Of course. Of course. See, we have to keep inching our way. And when I get a phone call from my tech guy, who happens to be a white guy that has works on the website at times, he says to me, I got a call from my father. And he said, I need you to cancel Netflix. And this is a white man in his 70s that lives in Canada. He said, because if they don't stand for equality and they treat Monique that way, I don't want no parts of that. So it spread it everywhere. That's how come I couldn't get angry for the ones who didn't understand it.
Right.
Because there's a whole lot that do. And they're black, they're white, they're Asian, they're Latin. They're all of us, because I don't care what color you are, what gender you are. Inequality is inequality. And when you have a pure heart, you're going to speak out about it.
For me, when you announced it, I didn't know what was going on, but it was something about what you said, how you looked, that there was more to the story than what, you could originally speak on.
Well, there's always more to the story.
Mm-hmm.
But oftentimes, we don't want to take the time out to find out the whole story.
Mm-hmm.
We just want to go on a blurb and say, well, let's create a whole opinion. Well, I've been guilty of that myself before. Again, that's why it allows me to be patient and understanding for the ones that do it. I know you don't have all the information and you're only going on what you think you know. Well, I can't fault you for that. But what I would say is take the time out to educate yourself what you're speaking about so you can speak intelligently and not speak with ignorance.
Mm-hmm. So after the announcement, you had went on a few shows, but one in particular was The Breakfast Club. How did you feel after it aired, becoming, a viral meme or a viral moment at that time?
Well, whenever the truth is told, I'm glad it was told.
Mm-hmm.
I was disheartened with Leonard.
Mm-hmm.
I was disheartened because he has a mother and a grandmother that he says they've dealt with inequality. And I asked him, would you consider them donkeys? He said, well, no. Well, then why would you consider me one? And he couldn't answer that question.
Right.
It was disheartening because there's millions of people listening to that, our younger brothers and sisters. And for a younger sister listening, she knew she had nothing coming based off of what Leonard was saying.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad I went on The Breakfast Club because there were also some young sisters saying, thank you, Monique, for standing. There were some brothers saying, thank you, Monique, for standing. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't have to always be acknowledged right away. Mm-hmm. Sometimes people don't get it right away. That's why we must keep talking.
So you also appeared on The View and recently made a few comments in regards to Whoopi Goldberg. Has she or anyone on her team reached out to you?
No, baby, not yet.
Mm. Now, you know how it is reading something and then hearing something, sometimes it doesn't come across all the way clear. So is there anything from that quote that you maybe want to clarify or anything, or you meant what you said?
I meant exactly what I said,
mm-hmm.
and I'm unapologetic about it.
Okay.
However, what I will say is, when I said Whoopi Goldberg has always been the help, I know what it is to be the help myself.
Mm.
And for a long time in my career, I, too, was just the help.
Right.
So now when I watch my imagery on TVs and in movies, someone else's family will benefit off of my image because I was only hired to be the help.
Mm.
And the very man Whoopi Goldberg told me to get rid of, which is my husband, who is also my manager, was the very man that said, Monique, you've got to stop just being the help.
Right.
Because years from now, someone else will benefit off of your image, and your family gets no benefit from that at all. So we must start executive producing. We must start owning our projects. Mm-hmm. So I did not say that to throw shade and spill tea. I'm too damn old for that. I'm 51 years old. That's my sister. However, I had to say the truth, and that is the truth. Mm. So I don't regret anything I said. I want to also say there was a time I was the help, too. So I wasn't saying that to be demeaning. Mm. I'm only saying it to be truthful. Right. And for us to change the story and just stop changing the faces.
Right. In Vulture, when you mentioned, the Whoopi comment, you had also talked about wanting to help the next young girl on the rise. So coming from Baltimore, have you had the chance to, speak with Jess Hilarious and maybe help her?
I spoke with Jess Hilarious one night. We had a comedy show.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a beautiful dialogue. And I told that baby, if you ever need to talk, you ever want to reach out, I'm always right here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always right here because she's the next group coming up. I don't know it all, baby, but what I do know, I'm willing to share.
Right. After the boycott and everything, some people tried to discredit you, which they shouldn't have. So have you felt like, with social media, there's been a change or people try to rewrite your history or what you've done?
Here's the beautiful thing. Mm-hmm. You can't rewrite my history. It's already there.
Right.
You can try, as we've seen in history, they've tried so hard before to rewrite history, but you find out the truth, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
So you can't rewrite it.
Given everything that you went through, how is it to now have your own residency? How did it come about?
That residency, baby, is absolutely beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
The outpouring of love and support, and people saying, Mo, I done been with you since Comic View. Mo, I remember when I saw you at your club in Baltimore. Those people are showing up. So it's absolutely humbling to be in the business for 30 years, and you got people that come up to you and say, baby, I started out with you, and I'm still riding with you.
Right.
That's appreciated. And the way it came about was my husband and a guy named Tommy T, who has a club in Pleasanton, California called Tommy T.
Mm-hmm.
And he kept calling for me to do this club. And we would do the club and have a good time, and he called about 3 months later. Monique, would you come back? I'm like, no, baby. I just did the club. He's like, I know, but if you come, they're going to show up. I would go, and we would have a great time. He called about 3 months later. So that place actually became my residency first. And then he said, listen, how would y'all like to go to Vegas? We said, let's go. And my husband and Tommy T negotiated the deal. Our attorney put it together. And now Monique Does Vegas is going on.
Right. So what's the difference for you personally between having your own residency versus going out on tour?
Well, when you go out on tour and you go to Kansas City, you know 99.9% of those people are going to be from Kansas City. When you go to Virginia, you know most of them going to be from Virginia, right?
Right.
Well, when you go to Vegas, baby, they from all over the world. They from everywhere. Every walk, every nationality, everything. Every night some people sitting in front of you, baby, they from every walk of life.
Right. So what has been the support like to you from your fans and also from your peers?
It's been beautiful. And I don't have fans. Because fan is short for fanatic. I got family members, baby.
Right.
For somebody to say I've been rolling with you, Mo, for 30 years, that's a family member. It's been beautiful. From my peers, you know who called me and said, go get him, baby?
Who?
Her name is Roseanne Barr.
Okay, now.
Right. That's why I told the world, I'm not throwing my sister under the bus. That woman called me and said, baby, go get him. And do you have your fancy stuff? I was like, yes, ma'am. She was like, go get him, baby. So, from my peers, I would like to believe they're all saying, sister, go get him.
So,
because we're only inching the door open even more to be the first black woman comedian to have a residency in Las Vegas. I stand on the shoulders of so many black women that came before me. That's Moms Mabley. That's Lucille Bogan. That's Bessie Smith. That's Thea Fadal. That's Marsha Warfield. All of those black women, baby, kept inching that door open so that I could step on those stages. Now, when it came to the black male comics, that's Red Fox. That's entertainers, that's Sammy Davis Jr. And when they had their residencies, we could perform for you, but they couldn't stay in those hotels. So they inched the door open that I could perform and stay in the hotel.
So for you personally speaking, just, because you touched on Roseanne, how do you feel that you can kind of separate the person or a moment versus what they've done or their career?
Well, because I knew, and I know that woman's heart is full of love, I didn't have to separate it. Because I know she wasn't coming from an ugly place. We're comedians. We are the medicine to the universe. And the moment we start getting censored is the moment we are really, truly in trouble.
So do you have any advice maybe for Kevin Hart, given his situation he just went through and currently
Kevin Hart didn't do anything wrong. So he didn't do anything wrong. Especially culturally when you know where we come from. He did nothing wrong, and what I'm glad he didn't do was say, well, now I've got to appease a different group of people. No, I didn't do anything wrong. We all had that gay cousin in our family. Didn't you have one?
Yeah.
If you're not that one. And we all said, oh, here come gay Ricky. Here come gay Troy. Didn't we?
Yeah.
So it's like now we're going to apologize for who we are. That baby ain't got nothing but love in his heart. So Kevin Hart didn't do anything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I get down for the LGBTQ community. Everybody knows it.
Right.
But that baby did nothing wrong.
What was that moment for you growing up where you were just like, this is it?
When I saw the Jackson 5 get off of a plane and the people were running over to them and screaming and hollering and crying, I said, I loved every piece of that.
Mm-hmm.
That was it.
So, given all the talk about all the recent reboots and everything, are you interested in a Parker's reunion or possible reboot?
No.
Right.
We couldn't do it because Yvette Wilson's not here.
Mm-hmm.
And Andell was a major part of the show.
Right.
So for me, I appreciate what the Parkers was in that moment in time.
Mm-hmm. How was your friendship like with Miss Wilson?
Amazing, baby.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one time she said to me, and this is why she was so grounded. She said, look up. We were on the set, and she said, look up. And I looked up. I said, yeah. She said, what do you see? I was like a bunch of wires and,
Mm-hmm.
cameras. She said, right. It's fantasy. It's not real. She said, always keep that in mind. It's fantasy. And you got to be able to cut fantasy off. That's what kind of relationship we had. Didn't hang out often, didn't one at each other's houses all the time, but we had a good time when we was together.
Mm-hmm. And just one final question. Given all that has transpired, do you hold a grudge or any resentment towards anybody that has contributed to the blackballing of your career or any type of downfall that they tried to place upon you?
No.
Mm.
I don't hold a grudge. I don't hold resentment. No, I love our brothers and sisters.
Mm.
And like my husband said, he said, Mama, we're not trying to call nobody out. We're just trying to call them up. And I said to my husband, I thank him because of his nurturing and his training and teaching,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like, Mama, this ain't personal. It's not personal. But the only way we make it right is if we keep talking about it. And we've always opened it up to have a public conversation with those people. So, no, there's not one of them I have any resentment for, any animosity.
Mm-hmm.
I love them all.
That is a great way to end it.
And we love you too, baby.